Some of the best strategy games are on special as part of TactiCon, a festival that's come to Steam for the next 4 or 5 days to deliver specials across tactical games, strategy games, city builders, colony sims, 4X, you name it, we've got it, let's talk. And in this video, I'll be taking you through some of my personal favorites, the games that I've played the most, and the best deals that I don't think you should miss out on. Do share yours below if I've missed anything, and without any further ado, let's jump straight in. And the first cab off the rank is Clanfolk, a video that I have a review about on the channel, published by Hooded Horse. This is a medieval colony sim, very similar to RimWorld in style and design, but of course very different in its setting, and there's a lot of nuances to Clanfolk. Clanfolk is a really enjoyable strategy simulation game. It is in early access at the moment, but it seems to be a really polished experience, and honestly I can highly recommend it, particularly if you do really get into those games like RimWorld and others. I think you will highly enjoy Clanfolk. Sliding into the second slot on my list, in no particular order, is Farthest Frontier. Now, this is a city building game. It's also got really some core survival elements, sort of colony sim, resource people management elements to it as well. It came out just a little over a month ago, and yet it's already on a slight discount of 10%. So it brings it into around sort of 20 to 25 US dollars. This is one that I need to pick up myself. I was on a little break when it released. I missed out on it. I'm hopefully going to grab it during the sale though, because it's definitely been fairly positively reviewed and loads of interest in it online as well. So I would highly recommend you check out Farthest Frontier, although I can't personally recommend it to you just yet. Come back to me at the end of this weekend. In the third slot, and acknowledging that there are a few other games, festivals, and events going on this weekend as well, it's a busy time, is Northgard. Northgard from Shadow Games is a whopping 70% off. Northgard is a fantastic real-time strategy, survival, city building game. Again, a familiar theme for this video, of course. We are a strategy and tactics channel, and this is a strategy and tactics sale. Northgard provides a really interesting overarching view. It's got a lot of hardcore survival elements to it, but it presents them in a really simple way. The factions within the game are highly diversified, so there's a load of replayability within Northgard, and if you get bored, there are a whole load of DLC packs as well. This is a game that has received a lot of love over the years. It's still receiving updates. So it's really nice to not only pick up a game that's very cheap, but also that's still being actively supported by its developers. Northgard for me, at this price in particular of an entry at around $7 US is a no-brainer. Taking its spot for the game that I didn't think I would enjoy, but ended up freaking loving the absolute heck out of, it's Songs of Conquest. This is a 2D game presented in a graphical style that may look a little aged to some of you. It's in early access. It's a turn-based strategy game. It has this wonderful map view that Heroes of Might and Magic fans will feel right at home with. And then when you delve into the combat, it's actually very detailed, turn-based, and the animations that go along with it and everything are just fantastic. This is a very polished, slightly hardcore experience. It's an RPG with tactical combat, and honestly, like I say, surprisingly good. Not that I expected it to be bad, but just personally I tend to not gravitate towards games quite like this that look or play quite like this, but man alive, have I had fun with Songs of Conquest. Again, this is in the relatively early phases of its early access. I'm not sure about its development cycle moving through, unlike a lot of the other games on this list, so we'll have to keep an eye on it, but so far so good. A really fun, slightly different experience from the rest of the things on this list. Another one out of Shadow Games, this is Dune Spice Wars, a game that regular viewers of my channel will be very familiar with. Dune Spice Wars released in early access around 6 months ago, and as of actually today, at the time of recording, it's received its second massive update, adding a 5th playable faction to the game, and really reworking a whole load of the victory mechanics and all sorts of other things. Dune Spice Wars is a 4X real-time strategy game, so it's operating in real time, no turns to play with here. If you've played a game like Age of Empires, you'll be familiar with how the real-time strategy, not real world, plays out. Dune Spice Wars is a very enjoyable early access experience. My only critique of it so far has been that it hasn't quite got enough for me to play on. I've put about 100 hours into the game and feel like I've completed it. However, with the addition of multiplayer from the first update and the new playable faction in the second, I'm fairly confident to say that Dune Spice Wars is a good pickup. It's received a lot of love and support in its relatively infantile early access, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it develops fully over the next 6 months or so. Taking a slight break from stealing spice or conquesting with songs is Timberborn. Timberborn is overwhelmingly positively reviewed, and for good reason. I had a great time not playing it myself, but watching Potato McWhiskey play it. It is a very fun, interesting, detailed city builder. Of course, humans are long gone. Will your lumber punk beavers do any better is the question. It's a city builder early access colony sim with some survival elements as well that shouldn't be scoffed. At 20% off, it comes in at around $18 US. And if you're looking for something a little bit different, but with those core city building colony sim mechanics that you can see on screen, I would recommend Timberborn. It's a bit of fun. I think you'll enjoy it. Terra Invicta releases in just a few days in early access, so I wanted to include it in this list as well. A quick, brief shout out. I have a full gameplay video already on my channel because I was fortunate enough to get early access. But if you're interested in alien invasion come deep political simulation grand strategy game, where it's all about defending Earth or repelling the alien invasion and controlling nation states as a sort of a separate organization, an overarching organization, then I think you'll have fun with Terra Invicta. It had a demo earlier. You can download the demo right now or wait a couple more days and play the full experience. If you'd like a slightly more turn-based 4X strategy feel, you could also check out the newly released demo for Alliance of the Sacred Sons. This is another game that's published by Hooded Horse. It's an indie game. I don't know an awful lot about it, but it has made it onto my shortlist this year as games that I'll definitely be at least checking out for the channel. I think it's an interesting experience. Details relatively light, but I'll probably delve into the demo over the course of the weekend and at least check it out. And I'd encourage you to do the same if you like space strategy 4X games. And seeing as we're on the topic of space, while it's not on special, so I won't include it for too much longer in this video, I did want to give a quick shout out to Stellaris, which receives the Toxoid species pack just yesterday, a new DLC pack for the game. A little bit of fun involved in this one, however, it is mostly a flavor pack, so not a whole load of new mechanics per se, but you do get origins and civics and traits and all of those wonderful things that help you design your toxic species. And last but not least, from Fire Squid Games, the publisher who, along with Hooded Horse, put this convention, this festival together, comes the Great Houses of Caldera. This is an interesting strategy come RPG game. I'm very interested in how it plays out. It has some sort of dynastical character family development traits, kind of like what you might get from more role-playing focused strategy games like Crusader Kings, perhaps, mixed in with a deep strategy world. It has a demo that is available now that we can play again for the first time. Steam is still learning about this game, and it's scheduled for release into early access at the start of 2023. I think a lot of you may be interested in this game. Again, I can't comment yet on its quality. I haven't had the chance to delve into it, but certainly, considering it's a free demo, it must be worth a look. And at the end of the video here, I'd like to mention a couple of honorable mentions. Honorable because while they may not technically fall within TactiCon and the banner of that festival, they are strategy games, they are fantastic games, and they're on some brilliant specials. First and foremost, of course, it would be unjust for me to not mention Sid Meier's Civilization 6, the most popular in the Civilization franchise, the most played to this day, and of course the most recent, even though it was released in 2016. It's received a variety of DLC updates, which are also largely on special throughout this sale. You can get the base game for 85% off, and at $10 US, it's a no-brainer if you don't own it already. And if you peruse through some of the DLC, you'll also find some reasonable specials. I can highly recommend the Gathering Storm Pack. That one at 75% off is a great deal. And if you can stretch to it, the New Frontier Pass also delivers a lot of extra content. Great for players who are looking to push their game further or who are bored with the base game and just need that little bit more. My second honorable mention is a Satisfactory game. In fact, it's overwhelmingly positively reviewed. This is Satisfactory, which is still in early access after a couple of years. This, unlike most of the games on my list, is a first-person game. It's an open-world factory-building game with a little bit of exploration and some neat, if not maybe at times a little frustrating combat thrown in the mix. You can play it by yourself. It's also a fantastic multiplayer game, and it's 40% off. Very fun. You can spend a lot of hours in Satisfactory getting things just right. And last, but certainly not least, this is Plate Up. And it's been reviewed overwhelmingly positively for good reason, and not just because it's published by Yogscast Games and therefore has a reasonable follow of talented, fun, and fairly clever creatives behind it, but also it's just a brilliant experience. I have played up, I've plated many plates. And I can say that something about the roguelite element that it adds in, and that's really what it stands apart from the rest, right? You may look at it and think it's a bit like, for example, Overcooked. And you'd be right. This is very much like Overcooked, but with a key difference that this is a roguelite game. It's cooperative as well, great to play with friends. They don't even need to own a copy thanks to Steam. I can highly recommend to you Played Up if you're interested in managing a restaurant, maybe playing with friends, and crucially adding a random roguelite element in that throws a whole load of different challenges into how you structure your restaurant, what menus you may have to serve, and ultimately, you're trying your best not to fail. Fail by not serving a single customer, just one, and you lose the entire game and you're back to square one. And that concludes my list. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you managed to pick up a reasonable deal in the TactiCon strategy game sale. It does only run for a few days over the course of the weekend, plus or minus a couple of days at either end. So don't muck around, and I'll see you next time.